Mega man is with my daughter.
tí ó máa rí sí máa wò ń bọ̀ YouTube. Ó yá.
force that transforms our lives. OOU 92.1 FM, communicating for development.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you all to the 8th Inaugural Lecture. As we are having our seats, please let us observe the COVID protocol, meaning that between two persons there must be empty seats. Can they do that quickly? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the university management, staff and students of this great university, under the amiable leadership of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Gani Olatunde, I welcome you all once again to the 98th Inaugural Lecture titled My Scientific Inquiry into Solid-State Physics for Sustainability. Of course, the lecture is to be delivered by distinguished Professor of Solid-State Physics from the Department of Physics, Faculty of Science, Olabisi Onabanjo University, in person of Professor Rasaki, Kolawole, Odunaike. Shall we all rise as we welcome the procession of the principal officers and other distinguished officers of the great university? Let us rise, please. Thank you very much. Leading the procession is an associate professor and the acting dean, Student Directorate of Student Affairs, Dr. Maruf S. Oladimeji. He is closely followed by the acting dean Environmental Studies, Dr. Bashir Odufuwa. Next to him is the dean, Faculty of Agricultural Production and Renewable Resources, Professor Akim Abujobi. Next to him is the dean, Agricultural Management and Rural Development, Professor Adewale Onosanya. We currently have behind him the dean, Faculty of Arts, Professor Latif Kasim. We currently have the dean, Basic Medical Sciences, Professor Mrs. M.B. Ogundaunsi. Next to him is the dean, Faculty of Science, Professor N.O. Adibajo. And dean, Faculty of Law, Dr. Bade Akinrimade. Next to him is the dean, Faculty of Education, Professor Olufemi Kalesanwo. We currently have the dean, Faculty of Administration and Management Sciences, Professor Arusi Chomoye. Next to him is the Provost, College of Agricultural Sciences, Professor K.B. Olurin. We currently have the Provost of Afemi College of Health Sciences, Professor A.O. Olatunji. We currently have in our midst here on the procession the Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor Israel Ademiloyi. Then the Provost, School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor A.O.E. Lawal. Then representing the University Librarian, Dr. Adebambo Oduwole. It's not any other person than Dr. Showenimo Adekumisi. Next to her is the University Registrar, Mr. Femi Ogunwomuju. We currently have the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Administration, Professor Shah Olufemi Adekoye. Next to him is the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Administration, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic, Professor Ayodeji Agwola, and of course the inaugural lecturer of today, Professor Rasaki Kolawole Odunaike, honored by our amiable Vice Chancellor, Professor Gani Olatunde. Shall we all of our seats, please? Thank you very much. May I, on this note, humbly invite the University Registrar and the Secretary to Council, Mr. Femi Ogunwomuju, who in turn will invite the Vice Chancellor of this great university, Professor Gani Olatunde, to declare the inaugural lecture open. Mr. Registrar, sir.
May I invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Gani Olatunde, to please declare this 98th inaugural lecture open. Vice Chancellor, sir.
the former Deputy Governor of Odunaike State, Alhaji Ibadan. Distinguished members of this audience, I declare the 98th Inaugural Lecture open. Thank you.
May I again invite the Vice Chancellor to please come forward to introduce the inaugural lecturer of today, Professor Rasaki Kolawole Odunaike. Vice Chancellor, sir.
Professor Odunaike, can you please step forward, please? You can face the audience. Citation of Professor Rasaki Kolawole Odunaike. Our own General at Olabisi Odunaike University. Professor Rasaki Kolawole Odunaike was born on the 1st of August 1956 in Gusau, Zamfara State. He had his elementary education at the Wesley School in Kwebulemo between 1961 and 1966 and obtained his secondary school leaving certificate from the Ijebu Muslim College, Ijebu. He then completed his A-levels at the Remo Secondary School, Chagamu, in 1974. He later proceeded to University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, where he obtained his Bachelor of Science Honors degree in Engineering Physics in 1981. Immediately after he completed his National Youth Service Program in 1982 at the Federal Polytechnic Bauchi, he was appointed a lecturer 3 at the Oyo State College of Education in Ibadan. His quest for further academic pursuit took him to the University of Ibadan, where he obtained his Master of Science and doctorate degrees in 1985 and 1993, respectively, in solid-state physics as an area of specialization. Professor Odunaike joined the services of the then Ogun State University, now Olabisi Onabanjo University, as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Physics in 1985, and through dint of hard work, commitment, and perseverance, he rose through the ranks to become a professor in the year 2013. This resourceful academic has served the university in various academic and administrative positions and capacities. He was the acting head Department of Physics 1991-1993, Subdean Undergraduate Faculty of Science 1994 to 1997, Dean Faculty of Science 2004 to 2014 to 2019, Senate Representative of Research and Publications Committee 1994, Pioneer Chairman University Security Committee 1996-1999. He also served as Chairman Examination Malpractices Committee 1996 to 1997, Chairman B.Sc Degree Curriculum Review in Applied Physics 1998, Member of Ogun State University Ventures 1997-1999, Member and Vice Chairman of Grade of PBS Program 2005, Acting Dean Director of Student Affairs 2009 to 2013, Chairman Senate Committee of Examination on Examination 2013 to date, Member Business Committee of Senate 2007 to date, and currently the Directorate of Quality Assurance of this university. Also in the recognition of his academic excellence and professional dexterity, Professor R.K. Odunaike has been nominated to serve in various faculty and editorial boards. Notable among these within the University Editorial Board of the African Journal of Pure and Applied Science and Postgraduate School Management Board, and outside the university he was the editor of Educare, Journal of School of Primary Studies, Tasso Edibode, as well as member local organizing committee, Conference on Global System for Mobile Communication in Nigeria. He also served as facilitator proposed Southwestern University, Ogun State, to mention but a few. Professor Odunaike has also served as an external examiner and internal examiner to several universities and institutions within and outside the country. He was an examiner at the Institute of Science and Technology, London, 1994-1997, and Nigeria Institute of Science and Technology, 1986 to 1994. He was a visiting senior research fellow, Physics Advanced Laboratory, Cheddar Science and Technology Complex, Cheddar Abuja, 2000-2002. He has similarly served as external examiner at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels to several universities, notably among which are the University of Ibadan, 2007 to 2010 and 2012 to 2014, Obasanjo University, 2014 to 2018, Federal University of Science, Federal University of Technology, Akure, 2006, Lagos State University, 2001, National University of Technology, Ogbomosho, 2010 to 2013, and many others. Our inaugural lecturer of today is an academic by excellence. Not only has he attended several professional, local, and international conferences, workshops, and seminars, he has 10 chapters contributions in books, editor, co-editor in 7 revised books, and a total of 68 published articles in journals of repute across the globe, including 6 referred conference proceedings to his academic proficiency. He has also supervised over 200 undergraduate projects, 47 master's dissertations, including 50 at the University of Ibadan, and 7 Ph.D. theses, including 4 at the University of Ibadan. Professor Odunaike is a member of notable professional bodies and learning societies. He's a fellow Institute of Data Processing and Management Science, fellow Nigeria Institute of Physics, and member Science Association of Nigeria, among others. Professor Rasaki Odunaike is happily married to Dr. Mrs. Kaolat Olufemi Odunaike, and their union is blessed with 3 and good children. It's my honor to invite to the podium Professor Rasaki Kolawole Odunaike to deliver his address.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to be before you to present my 98th inaugural lecture. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, the Registrar and other principal officers of the university, Provost of the Postgraduate School, and other Provosts of colleges, Dean of the Faculty of Science and other Deans of the faculty, Director of Directorates, and all units and heads of department, professors and members of the University Senate, the Royal Majesties, and Highnesses, my Lord, spiritual and temporal, the collective staff of the University, both teaching and not teaching, distinguished colleagues, and or friends from sister university and other tertiary institutions, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, students of this great institution, particularly for Faculty of Science and Department of Physics, great all you eyes. May your days never be wrong, both within and outside the university. B.Sc. I give glory to Almighty Allah for sparing my life to date and granting me the privilege to give the 90th inaugural lecture of this, our noble university. It should be the 17th in the Faculty of Science and the 2nd in the Department of Physics. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I thank you for giving me the privilege to deliver this inaugural last year, October 15. But for the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, ravaging the world, denied me that great opportunity. But the time today is a reality. Sir, Ladies and gentlemen, I decided to pick this title because I began interacting with solid state physics in 1978 when I was in part 3 of my 5-year program in engineering physics, specializing in material science option. I was so familiar with one lecturer there, Professor Joseph Oluwafe. He made a first class from Ife. He had the best results so far, and it was beaten 1980 by one Mr. Taiwo. He was a graduate of California Tech. He had a considerable 504 car, American spec, with registration number OD 958P. This means that water was a perennial problem at the then University of Ethiopia. We were able to get 2-3 cups of water in a day, then you will take your bath very well. So we were able to pump water using solar power pump into a wide building, otherwise called Faculty of Science, which houses physics, mathematics, chemistry, electrical electronics, engineering. Professor Kolawole, because of my intimacy with him, made me to know Professor B.A. Williams, who started the radio, or who started the independent power project at Ife, now being sold to the public within Osun State. Professor B.A. Williams, G.A. Adewega, and O. Kehinde, all of electrical electronics engineering. After my graduation, I decided to pursue postgraduate degrees in either materials, metallurgical engineering, or electrical electronics to specialize in energy generation. But as only would determine it, Odunaike 2018, I was offered an appointment at the then Oyo State College of Education in Ibadan as a physics lecturer. Job was still very lucrative, lecturer 3, after my NYSc. Ibadan is currently in Osun State, now renamed Osun State College of Education. This shaped my academic projection because I was being considered as an engineer. But thank God, because they had to request for my transcripts from the University of Ibadan to know that I was actually, or that I read physics together with some other courses. Before I could be regraded in 1984, that transcript was accepted and thought to be authentic. It was at that particular time I changed my mind to pursue M.Sc physics at the University of Ife and University of Ibadan. And I coincidentally met Dr. Barako, who himself is an experimentalist. He is a crystal brewer, former director of Physics Advanced Laboratory, Sheda, Abuja. We formed a research group. He opted into it. Of course, that area is not friendly because of the outage of power supply. If you are performing you have to perform an experiment. It has to last you for 72 hours, electricity. A minute to the end of 72 hours, if that light went, the experiment was spoiled. So you have to start again. So you can see why it took me 80 years to complete my Ph.D. program. And I want to thank the university for granting me the sponsorship. How much was it? 120 naira per year. As we were doing the postgraduate work, my supervisor advised me that we should first of all address certain issues because electronic devices were so expensive. And why? The only contact element we are using, if it's not silver, it will be gold. And they are very, very expensive. So he said we should look for alternative way of finding omnic contact. For those of us who did simple physics, Ohm's law. I proportional to B. So. And that was what we faced. Of course, we became, after my master's, by 1987, we were about 7. 3 Ph.D., 2 masters, and we formed what we call research group. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, my audience will want to know what is solid state physics we are talking about. Solid state physics is the largest branch of condensed matter physics. It is the study of rigid body, solid, like you as a human being. I will come back, that will be the last one, because we are all solid people. True methods such as quantum mechanics, crystallography, electromagnetism, and metallurgy, Matthias 2015. In simpler words, solid state physics relates to the properties, structure, reactivity of solid material, especially the arrangement and behavior of ions, molecules, nucleons, electrons, holes in the crystal of the substance, such as semiconductor. I use the word semiconductor because that was my area where I specialized. Then what is sustainability? Sustainability was defined by a Goodland Commission in 1987 as a concept that integrates the importance of development with the cause of environmental protection without a fitting danger to the future generation. That is, sustainable development that meets the need or requirement of the present and generation without compromising the ability of the future generation on their own needs. So, what are semiconductors? Semiconductors are the materials whose conductivities lie between that of conductor and non-conductor, otherwise called insulator, and sometimes we call it ceramic. Semiconductor can be pure, such as silicon, germanium, or compound, such as gallium arsenide, cadmium selenide, and so on and so forth. In a process called doping, well, small amount of impurities are added to add semiconductor to a pure semiconductor, causing large changes in the conductivities. Due to semiconductors, role of fabrication of electronic devices play an important part of our life. Could you just imagine without electronic devices such as radio, TV, computer, video games, medical, diagnostic equipment, how life would have been? Even using your phone alone, some will develop high blood pressure. That is the importance of electronic devices. The development in semiconductor technology in the past 30 years have made electronic devices smaller, faster, and more reliable. Of course, they have just witnessed growth that is the use of security services. Many will have used some of the following: wash, microwave, diagnostic equipment, car electronic balance, television player, air conditioner, and musical equipment. Each of them has important components that have been manufactured with electronic materials. Technological advancement with respect to the field of electronics will continue to improve our lives in the field of communication, medicine, basic sciences, and engineering. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, just as I was facing my master's, and I thank God I was able to complete it in 1985. Our research group faced the concept of contacts. People will say, what is doing by contacts? Even when you meet your wife, it's an example of contact. The first day you meet, and you say, I love you. That's an example of contact. I'll go there later, much later. So, But this contact is for electronics, where the direct current will be flowing without indirect. The prices of devices were almost getting beyond the reach of the privileged, top class of the underprivileged. The case material and accessories for GSMs in Nigeria in the early 2000s is an example. Remember, Nokia to Nokia there is 25,000 naira, but the same Nokia now is 2,400 naira. Our researching, however, continues. But we are looking for alternatives. So, I found myself entangled in solving ohmic contacts for semiconductor and taping devices. Ladies and gentlemen, the fabrication of ohmic contact is a much studied part of materials engineering, which remains something of an art. The reproducibility and the reliability of fabrication of contacts depend on what? Cleanliness of the semiconductor, to avoid contamination immediately from that, which rapidly forms on the surface of the silicon. Out of the contact region is already probed to ensure the type of contact wanted. As a rule, ohmic contacts on semiconductor form more easily when semiconductor is highly doped near the junction. A high doping narrows the depletion region of the interface and allows the electron to flow in both directions through tunneling of the barrier. Our research got impressive results on the ohmic contact. For example, the behavior of junction formed by the contact of bismuth to tellurium with antimony as the reference electrode was investigated and reported by us in 1994. Similarly, the nature of some contacts, aluminium, indium, germanium, antimony, and bismuth to selenium films was also reported by us in 1994. And the role of the interfaces on the electrical transport across metal contacts on amorphous germanium films using two transport probe arrangements was also reported. The current density voltage characterization is a graphical thing at room temperature for as deposited amorphous germanium for the metal pair combination shown not only to be linear ohmic but symmetric about the origin for all pairs of electrodes combination by us again 1995. We further looked into the behavior of aluminium contacts to evaporated germanium films in oxygen and oxygen hydrophoric atmosphere. We are able to conclude that the oxygen increases the surface conductance of amorphous germanium as a result of the strong electron affinity. That is, oxygen was able to induce acceptor state at the surface of the germanium. The acceptor state in the valence band, which contributed to the enhancement of conductance, aluminium stroke amorphous germanium, Odunaike et al. 1996. With it, we said we should innovate. We innovated our deposition by turning the electrical transport across singlet, doublet, deposited layer of germanium in aluminium germanium gold sandwich structure. Our findings show that the current transport through the We look at the electrical nature of antimony on surface conductors by adopting geometrical arrangement of the electrodes. What do we really mean? We adopted triangular contacts, rectangular contacts, semicircle, segments of circles, whose each pair was of two types of probe. We wanted to point out the contribution of area contribution. We wanted to find the effect of area contribution and end effect towards the transport phenomenon. The study showed that while the shape of the pattern does not alter the ohmic property of antimony tellurium, it, however, affects the measured electrical conductance, which increases the curvature, which increases as curvature increases. 2008. Our research finding process assisted in crashing the prices of most electro-optical devices, particularly GSM mobile appliances in developing countries. We carried out the theoretical simulation of hole detection in high barrier and metal semiconductor shutdowns to know the effect of the minority carriers, because we are always emphasizing on majority carrier. But we found out there was no way the minority carrier will play any significant role, because the majority carrier goes as much as 10⁻10 per centimeter K, with a total current density J 0.1 microampere per centimeter square. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I got much involved in the administration of the university through my department and the faculty, particularly during the tenure of Vice Chancellorship of the late Professor Odunaike. This made it possible for me to be visiting UI in our laboratory. I had to sit down to see where I could adapt because of the load of assignment responsibility on me. The five of us, now first of all, consulted the research group, aside from all the masters that are done, had all finished and completed their masters and their PhD. And as I'm talking to you, every one of us is a professor of one university or the other. This made me to refocus my research using solid-state tools and assessments to solve environmental problems through geophysical techniques such as electrical resistivity method and electromagnetic materials to determine the geoelectric characteristic of the aquifer and groundwater pollution. Similarly, we use a portable stimulating survey meter, panoramic Victorian, model 407A, serial number 4093, for measurement of absorbed dose or exposure rate of environmental pollution in cities, particularly around the north side. We've started that task starting from Abeokuta, our state capital. We observe the recklessness of refuse dump at any place within the city. Hence, gave us a concern of health issue. Even though the study showed that the absorbed radiation dose is minimal when compared to Nigeria's average and the world average, but no matter how low, all levels of radiation still constitute a hazard. We alerted the government of the situation in our publication, Odunaike 2008. We moved to Oyo State capital, Ibadan. Ibadan was noted at that time. Although it's changing because I was there 2 weeks ago. This was what was happening. Refugee from right from Malete up to Bere. Honestly, we are not secure, aside from insecurity. We moved to Ibadan. You know, leaves nylon, related wrappers. They are dumped on street roads, gutters, in rivers, which constitute complete environmental nuisance to the environment. Our findings in the emission of naturalization of waste dump site in the city of Ibadan were reported to appropriate authority, Odunaike, 2008. It was so alarming to the extent that the then governor wrote us to say, to assure us that something will be done. And I'm happy that the past government have been doing something. And it's been currently attended to by the present government. Similarly, we advanced to Lagos. Our research team went to find out the effect of radiation exposure to workers and villagers in and around some quarry sites in Ogun State. And our findings show that we succeeded to address the pollution of air and the environment. We now say we should digress. Let's look at the soil. We pass, we move on the soil every time. We plant, we harvest. Water. We then examine the best groundwater potential with BES and most uncommon magnetic survey in the Owode area, Akure in Ogun State, in Ondo State. We, however, concluded that high amplitude magnetic flow are good site for groundwater reservoir, although not all of that site proved to be of good groundwater. First one, 2005. We went to study the activity concentration of natural radionuclide in the well water of Kolawole, as it was indeed the most common thing for the inhabitants. 2010, Odunaike, 2013, and also 2014. We found that they were not too polluted to raise any alarm, but we still advise to give them caution. During that particular time, there was a very serious elevation of heavy metals in the environment of Araga and Obiamube in the Niger Delta region, after an oil spillage, as reported consequences of such activity as the health of the people were grossly and significantly endangered. The physicochemical characteristics of water samples at a green station in Ijebe, Ikorodu, and there was a plant there. Our feeling was that the plant would just be discharging their waste like that. But I'm happy to say that the industry is highly responsible by the treatment of their waste before discharging it into the river. So the little pollution we observe is as a result of human anthropogenics. Similarly, we went to study heavy metals concentration in Eleyele River and certified that the pollution level is totally insignificant and healthy for domestic activities. Akinyele 2014. We reported the radiological and related chemical health impact assessment of uranium in pipe-borne water from some water network in Lagos metropolis and were found to be significantly safe for use around 2017. Now, the soil is another issue. Any total misuse of land is considered to be an abuse and to be fit for man future need. So we embark on some soil analysis to know the uptake of these heavy metals by plants and radiological pollutions. For example, when you are constructing your house, you have to pick from the soil to plant, to mount your building. If that soil is contaminated or is radioactive, while you are living in that house, you'll be falling sick every week. You'll be treating malaria, or eventually, God forbid, bad thing. So, you don't just pick soil anywhere, and so on and so forth. We also reported the estimation of the natural indigenous in cattle from a rearing farm and field at Alabata, Abeokuta, Enugu State, southwestern Nigeria. Alaska 15. This was so much concern the then government under the Ministry of Environment. I said, you are going to attend to it. But we waited 2 years after. Olabamiji et al. Doing his master's, they advised him to go there and perform the radiological impact assessment using the natural radionucleus in the soil at Alabata 2 years after our own assessment. And it was found to be very safe. Shall we clap for the government who attended to us? Now, same was done to assess the soil to palm oil produced from an area, palm, tree, plantation, now Ibadan, Oyo State. You know, when you are coming from Oyo, over the place you find you buy palm oil, red palm oil. We want to know whether this palm oil are really safe for consumption. But, true to God, they were found to be safe for consumption. Now, sorry for the biologists here, offered that was a very common food. Or is a Dativa japonica. That's the biological name. We try to locate the 3 locations where they have been planted in the east. And we know that once upon a time, there was what we call very serious nuclear, weaponry, and all biological war materials used in that process. We look at that, that is in the southeastern part of the country, and I found this confirmed the safe consumption of Okada, and that's why we have not had of any consequence. Talabi, Odunaike, and others, 2020, investigated the heavy metals in river around Nigeria Federal Capital FCT. Honestly, our findings show that no water consumption in Abuja within this. It's now 6, it used to be 8. No water, river water there was useful, that can be used for domestic purpose. It is true. I don't know whether they are still attending to it, but we have published our own. Springer confirmed that, and some other people have reported. All the river water sample tested are not safe for human consumption, as chromium and nickel exceed the standard of the World Health Organization. And much of these metals can cause deleterious health effects in human beings. Talabi, Rolla, and others too, 2018, carried out research work on electrical resistivity survey to detect the level of groundwater pollution in Yoru and the Koto. Of course, we use the survey was conducted using ABEL model thermometer with Slobanja array for 1 dimension. Our BES 1234 ranging from 0.25 to 4 meters. We found that only BES 1 has this shade. But unfortunately, that shade, which is of course a pollution, cannot penetrate into the groundwater table because of the stratigraphy of the area. So it's very safe, you know. Same measurements were carried out at the Koto PES. They were taking 30 meters away, but we found out that of the Koto, they could have not helped us. We try, we are not medical personnel, we even try to visit the center. The rate at which people are reporting of their ailment. It is not stomach trouble, it's pseudo cholera or pseudo something. So, but we alerted the government And that is why, if you are going towards, let's say, another structure, the government put about 2,000 refugee drop tanker or container there, which is being evacuated every 2 weeks to save a couple of people from this danger. Now, our next target is renewable energy. Renewable energies are generated from unlimited to abundant natural resources. And we have so many types of them: solar renewable, wind renewable, hydroelectric renewable, biomass renewable, geothermal renewable, tidal renewable. So our group went into it. We said we should find a way of having low-cost devices that will generate power, if only for 8 hours. So there is increasing demand for renewable energy as an alternative in Nigeria to replace the epileptic power supply for economic growth. Most of the locals you are seeing, most of them are trained artisans. But because of no energy, no power, although they could carry that daily job. So that will shift ground. So when you see other don't disrespect them. You have those of them with master's degree qualification. So the idea of seeking alternative-based material to give room for vast demand of optoelectronic devices has been considered. So our work therefore propels us to focus, to produce good quality in either window, so buffer or solar absorber layers that are eco-friendly. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, our first task was to study the optical and electrical analysis of thallium sulfide, otherwise called TNS, which we successfully produced by chemical band deposition in our laboratory. Our analysis showed that it's not only suitable, the suitability of the film for window layers in solar cell is not only suitable, but could be used for some other polycrystalline film materials. We learned that one. Researches focus on polycrystalline thin film, copper, indium, selenium, and cadmium telluride. We did that one. Yes, we are not able to deposit that particular material here, but we went to Malete, Kwara State University Malete, where they had this UNESCO grant of evaporator, and that is where we deposited it with our postgraduate students. Now we use Shimadu UV 3100 made in Japan to study the optical characterization. The UV BIS spectrophotometer was used to obtain the optical data and the cadmium selenium and cadmium tellurium films, which were presented in Odunaike 2020. Studying the morphological, structural, and elemental characterization of the two materials deposited, it is recommended that future work should still be done on that, but given as it may, it could be used as solar cell by synthesizing it and characterizing it with zinc tin sulfide. These band gap values were in agreement with the study of ideas researchers at M.Sc 2020. So, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to study the crystallographic and macrographic structure of copper, indium, gallium, diselenide, semiconductor, thin film, using CVD. The CIGS conducting thing were not only deposited on glass substrate by chemical deposition, but were found to be very useful, particularly when the ratio of the indium are varied. We did that of 1 to 2, 1 to 3 tin film. Then, as the positive film were amorphous, but when annealed, they show what they were crystalline in nature, which show the effect of landing on the surface. But the reflectance of the CRGS 1 to 2 and 1 to 3 tin films, respectively, were depicted in Adeniji et al. 1918, as the reflectance were found to be around 2 to 43% in the wavelength region of 200 to 900 nanometer. Conclusively, high energy band gap tin films have been generated for the design of photovoltaic solar cells. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, we look into the structure and the composition of copper selenite when doped with a controlled amount of ink-dop content. Sir, we found out that the crystallization of CIS show that they are deposited tin films were amorphous in nature, while annealed were crystalline, which show the effect of annealing and which make the tin film a good window layer in solar cell application. As we are doing that, we are thinking of the climate change. It affects. So we said, okay, climate change can affect some of these things. Let's think of other way of improving PV, that is photovoltaic solar cell. We now adopted what we call successful ionic layer absorption and reaction, otherwise known as SILA. So SILA method can produce large-scale rural electrification and increase rural electrification anywhere. So we grew ferrous copper sulfide in our laboratory using SILA techniques. The optical properties of these tin films, such as absorbance, reflectance, transmittance, which were used to calculate the other parameters, such as absorbance coefficient, were not only appropriate and were able to extrapolate that they are deposited and they have the properties to actually improve solar panel. The absorbance of the tin film was between 2.5 and 5.4 and 2.5 to 2 and 5.4 in order of increasing iron I want to use iron so that in the increasing of iron materials, Fe. So this provides wide latitude for applications of the tin film in the following: solar cell fabrication, screening of UV radiation, low transmittance and low reflectance in UV region, coating of pottery building, eye glasses coating, solar thermal conversion, solar control, anti-reflectant coating, and window layer solar. Odunaike, Odunaike, and Co. Similarly, the tin film, zinc copper sulfide, was deposited through sealers. And we observe, Mr. Vice Chancellor, that when the sealer cycle mostly increased and in some time decreased the properties of the tin film 2021. Many workers have been on solar. Physicists, chemists, physical chemists particularly, botanists, engineers, and everybody's working for low-cost energy. But we have forgotten something. After all these materials are fatigued, that is something more, when they can no more walk, they have expired. Like your car, You know, there's some class that you at the end of the day is fatigue. You can never work again, no matter how much you spend on it. What is the safety? So that we don't tamper with the future of the incoming generation. That is sustainability there. We said charity begins at home. Let's start from Ibadan University here. Many campus. We have a former senior staff club. We had a lot of photocopiers surrounding us. Each time there was any, they just jumped there. A student, you know, their television. Any sport, they don't put them there. Of course, I didn't report that. Myself and the lifestyle carried out the project there. We advised them that that place should be shut down. Otherwise, life and proper lives of students are never be saved. So we started. Now that we're in the main campus. We started from our motion grant, our mini market there, hostel, and the mini campus. And we particularly concentrated where they are dumping most electronic waste, fridge, air conditioner, phones, cells, and related works. Now, I'm looking for the heavy metals. You find out that the nickel in the present study range between 50.6 to 76.2 milligram per kilogram, which is still permissible. But the university is too young to have this kind of value. And that is why we are recommending to the authority the need to legislate on the management of e-waste on this campus to forestall the effects of waste-related problems in the future. Also, modern waste disposal facilities should be adopted by the management, and appropriate step disposal site should be carefully chosen to avoid injurious effect on indiscriminate disposal of e-waste. Odunaike 2020. But we can still assure the university management that our report in the present study showed that domestic use and drinking of water close to the e-waste is safe from our analysis. Because the level of contamination there is very, very insignificant. Very much less than the world permissible level. So this assessment is made about the soil and water around the e-waste dump in the campuses, both mini and the main campus, when compared with the international standard limits. These values recorded for soil and water were also below the recommended safety. Our group has demonstrated a meaningful contribution to renewable energy and how to curtail the excess of it in future. So, this problem motivated us to establish the first and only kind of solid-state material laboratory in the laboratory of Ibadan University. Where is Dr. N.G. here? Yes, he was my first Ph.D. student from that laboratory. And where did you get this encouragement? I want to thank this professor from the University of Rasaki, I've forgotten his name, who made us, we visited the place and found out that even with a glass of water, you can start assembling a laboratory. And that laboratory is functioning. Today, 5 people are on their best work, aside from 17 of them that are taking their master from that laboratory. The most interesting thing that I want you young ladies and boys and girls to note is this. I said, we human beings, we are solid people and we are rigid. Now, we found out the rate at which marriages or marital relationship is collapsing is so serious. We are becoming very insecure. Marriages are collapsing. I don't know what your background. One guy, 2 children, 3, no man, no parenting, nothing. And all these boys, in fact, I asked her, somebody asked me, what has physics got to do? I was sitting down here is an example of physics. We call it momentum. In the real physical term, we call it collision. When you are interacting with somebody, you are colliding with him, but the collision may be elastic or inelastic or explosive. So, I just want you to show me the slide where it took us 4 months before we can get the graph. No. And that was important. Next one. Yes. Next one. You are. That page is global, I mean that page. Okay. Can you see? One love and the other hate. Can you see the way it looks like? Mutual love. And look at figure B. From the mutual, one love and the other hate. If we look at the parameter we put there, qualification, age, family background, and so on and so forth. Of course, we consulted the Department of Sociology. I want to thank Professor Bryce, Adetola, and Arowolu for their very useful contribution. By the time that God's grace, all of you will be alive, healthy, when I'm giving my valedictory lecture, you will see that we are going to give more examples of this to educate the public. Now, what I'm trying to say, finally, is that when you want to start courtship, consider these following things. Do not commence courtship with anyone whose qualification is below your own. Two, marry someone whose age difference between you and him or her. And a woman must marry someone whose age difference between her and the man is just a minimum of 5 years. 5 to 10 years appropriate. I'm recommending, if you cannot go to 10 years, so ask him for his age. What he say, we're age mate. That is the end of the story, don't talk again. Avoid situation where there is religious difference, particularly if either party is too fond of his or her religion. 4, avoid marriages from different cultural backgrounds for security's sake. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, these are the 4 information pieces of information we can give to our youth because we are supposed to learn from us. I'm sure you'll be thinking, how old am I? What was the age of my wife before I married her? You come and see me at the backyard. Acknowledgements. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to deliver the inaugural. As I said, you granted me that opportunity, but it was never manifested. I use this medium to thank my late father, Mr. Odunaike, who determined to send me to school while a last man, support man with the Electricity Corporation of Nigeria. We were born in the north, and when Kennedy Dam and other people came together and formed PCN, it was transferred to Sagamo Undertaking. The Jabodi there was never known to be an undertaking. Of course, I started my primary school there, but for logistic reasons, I couldn't continue there. But I didn't hear Yoruba. But now, I can speak Yoruba better than anybody else. I've appreciate the care of my own. I thank my sister who are here. I call them by their first name because that's another result of the marriage. When you are calling Baba Remi, it gives unnecessary power or empowerment to either party. You didn't meet her at, you met her as Remi or Femi, call her Femi, so that she died. Babuki, Yabuki, and another story. I appreciate the care of my uncle, Colonel M.Sc, retired. God bless you and your family. When I lost my father, I was being housed by the parents of my friend, Mr. Isaac and late Mr. Isaac and late Mrs. Alice Adeleye at Oyo, and I stayed there throughout the time I finished my degree in 1981. That's the most senior brother Adewale Adeleye and his brother, who is my friend, Mr. Itayo Adeleye. They are not in the country. I'm sure they would have loved to be here. I need to appreciate all my passings at the Faculty of Science from Professor O. Fajola. I'm sure not many people know that O. Fajola of Zoology from Ibadan was the pioneer dean of Faculty of Science today. So, I want to thank all the parties for giving me a lively environment to operate. I want to acknowledge the love and good wishes of Professor V.U. Shukuma, J.A. Laoyi, Dr. S.K. Alamsa, J. Okoka, Eshe Olabidoye, J.B. Adekoya, Taiwo Lori, Talabi, Ekundayo, Adetumobi, Mrs. L.P. Akiyemi, Kei Omotesho, and Mrs. Lara Adenuga, and Sophia A. Adekoya for their love and care. I'd like to appreciate all my friends and colleagues, too numerous to mention here, but particular mention of this gentleman and lady is very important as we interacted brilliantly towards the progress of this university. And the adult, Professor Olukayode Odishiko. V.U. Shukuma, Edo Adeladu, now my dean, and late Professor A.D. Banjo, Dr. Bola Adekola, and the man I always call handsome man, Mr. O.A. Ogunobodu. We are both very welcome. I salute my junior, ASU, for their doggedness. We sometimes quarrel based on our misinformation, and thereafter settle after logistics have been understood or further. And similarly, we rejoice when there is case or there is case or there is cause to do it so. I must acknowledge my mates that I started with. That is Ijebu Muslim College, now otherwise known as Lucent University. We have Club 68, in which I have a senior brother and classmate. I don't know if he was older than you. The former deputy governor, former commissioner, his former SD says that. Can you please stand up for a video? Unfortunately, I will give you a story. When I had got a very good job, and I was about to marry, it was the one that tied my wife behind. As if anything happened to her, they will come and arrest him. And thank God that you should congratulate me that I have not done anything wrong. So you should see me after the lecture. want to thank my past and present M.Sc and Ph.D. students for their interest in conducting research with me. When I eventually acquired the laboratory, I thank Dr. Azim Abolani Adeneji, who lectures at Federal University, Kasiri, Gombe State. I am sure, Mr. Vice Chancellor, I should let you know that I'm privileged to marry from a very good family. Very privileged indeed. All the sisters, brothers and sisters, we are not behaving like anyone. Fortunately, I was able to introduce few of them to you. I was married to late T.A. Taslim Adewale Badmus and Mrs. Anike Badmus of blessed memory. Their first son is my classmate, is my friend, but I didn't see her sister through her, and through him, I saw his sister Espria, and it happened that he was his senior brother. Whether he supported or not, but we are right and not back. I like you, Niji Badmus. Can you stand up for a occasion? I want to thank Bukola, Animashan, Mosu Odufua, Mr. Alaji Akibolo, and Runke Olamiyo. They can never be called in-laws, as our interaction is as if we were born by the same parents. I greet you all of you. Let me greet your spouses. Let me salute all your children. The Lord will bless your respective home and your family home. Sir, the last part is my wife. I was privileged to have a multi-dimensional wife. She's multi-dimensional in the sense that Dr. Kaulat Odunaike, she's a retired senior lecturer of business education from Malabia, from Taisula University of Education. Whereas the husband is here to be a senior citizen. She's everything to me. She's very excellent in attitude. She's beautiful, prayerful, intelligent, charismatic, mother of her home, and highly calculating. Only God knows better. I feel that she was not around, and I have the impact. May the Lord bless her wherever she is. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may have your seats, please. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Ganiyu Olatunde, the management, staff and students of Olabisi Onabanjo University. Your Excellency, the former Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Senator Jakarta, for attending this ceremony. Thank you for coming, sir. Our royal fathers are present, Oba Abdurrashid Omotayo Salami, Shadiri of Shrine. We thank you for coming. We thank Oba Olurebi Obayomi, the Ilese of Ilese. We thank you for coming. We recognize the active Vice Chancellor of the Taishola University of Education, Professor Kolawole Banjo. We thank you for coming. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my special honor to announce and introduce to you the first emeritus professor to be appointed by Olabisi Obasanjo University at Kolawole, Professor Kamal Ibadan is also here. We thank you for coming, sir. Shortly, I will invite the Vice Chancellor to declare this ceremony closed. May I implore you, ladies and gentlemen, that while the procession is reversing, is going out in reverse order, may I ask you to please stand and remain standing while the procession is exiting. We thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to now invite the Vice Chancellor to please declare this 98th inaugural lecture closed.
Your Excellency, the former Deputy Vice Chancellor, B.Sc is my colleague, Vice Chancellor, family of the inaugural lecturer, distinguished colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. While wishing you traveling mercies back to your various destinations, I declare this inaugural lecture closed. Thank you.
Can we please rise and remain standing? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.